The CS market is down right again, but we have not finished with this crash. But in the meantime, when the crash is finally done, I want to talk about low risk items versus high risk items in the market and what you should be buying when the market crash is over, what will have the best chance at returns, and what will have the least chance at losing you money. Because a lot of the items in the market have very different trends. As we could see, some items are down 15% today, some items are up 7%, like the Op Asimov, the AK Bloodsport. These are all AK Bloodsports for some reason, but we could go back to the first page. Just basic play skins, Redlines, Print Streams, Op Asimovs, they're all up today. The rest of the market is absolutely crashing out. So let's start with the Deagle Blaze. Similar to old Operation skins, a lot of these just go sideways for extremely long periods of time. This was the end of 2023. It essentially went completely sideways with like a minor increase in price once over well over a year worth of time. Absolutely crazy. And then it absolutely blew up in price. A very short move. This happened, well, I guess it happened in 4 months, but the brunt of the move happened in a week. This is 1 week, guys, that it doubled in price. Or, sorry, it didn't double in price. It went up about $400 in price. And a week later, it's back to normal prices. With old Operation skins like this is what they tend to do. Sideways for insanely long periods of time. They give you tons of time to buy, and then a very short amount of time to sell. You could see this with the blue phosphor as well. Is this the blue phosphor or is this the Deagle Blaze? This is the blue phosphor. I don't know why I have the Deagle Blaze searched up here, but this is the blue phosphor and this is the Deagle Blaze. You can tell they're essentially the same chart. Sideways, very long period of time, massive spike up over an even shorter period than the Deagle Blaze in this thing, and then directly back to these same levels. Now, if you're just looking for a basic play skin and something to sell when we inevitably get the next hype spike, now is a good level to buy. It's essentially going to stay at this level as long as player count stays the same, and it will. Unless maybe we get a new operation release with a similar skin, but even then, I don't think this thing is going to crash. I think it's going to stay pretty sideways for a very long time. This is a safe level to buy at. For the M4 Blue Phosphor, for the Deagle Blaze, well, you could definitely wait like another $100, but for the Blue Phosphor, it's definitely at a safe level.
This video is sponsored by Skin Club. Skin Club is a CSGO case opening site with an honest and provably fair system to ensure you're getting the best results. They also have daily cases where you can win crazy prizes every single day for completely free. And if you ever get a skin you don't like, you can take it to the upgrader to turn it into something better. Of course, they do offer normal case unboxings, battles, and shared battles as well. So if other players pull, everybody gets rewarded for it. With the current Age of Mythology event, you can unbox limited time cases and use tokens you earn for completely free items in the item shop as well. Skin Club also has every single deposit method you could want, including PayPal, cash, crypto, and skins. So be sure to click that link at the top of the description for a free 7% deposit bonus today.
And with these old Operation skins, all you're waiting for is something like this to sell them. Otherwise, you're admitting that it's just a play skin, it looks cool, and it's a safe purchase for the time being. Kind of similar with high tier skins, and I'm going to cover them next. The M4 Howl essentially went sideways since the CS2 hype ended as well, had this massive run up, and still it's going a bit slower than the Operation skins because there's much more supply of a Deagle Blaze and of a Blue Phosphor than there is of an M4 Howl or an Op Dragon Lore. This thing is probably coming back down to these levels as well. The good thing about high tier skins is rather than buying like 7 Blue Phosphors, you could just buy an M4 Howl and field tested for $3,600 and then hopefully sell it for like $6,000. Once again, I would say the safe level to buy this thing is when it goes sideways. Sure, it could probably bounce between like $3,600. I don't think it would drop down $3,000 again, but $3,600, $3,300, it's probably going to bounce around that range. Me personally, I would buy one at like $3,600, and I probably will, but it's another skin you're just going to hold for a very long time, and then it'll blow up in price eventually. Now, if you're Mr. Moneybags and you want to start spending ridiculous amounts of money, you can start looking at like super high tier skins like this. They have much slower price action than those old Operation skins like I was talking about. Very high supply Deagle Blaze, very high supply Blue Phosphor, somewhat high supply M4 Howl, and then super low supply Wild Lotus. And it still has these same moves where it runs up massively in price, but people like their high tier skins. They like to hold on to them for a long time. Anybody that's spending 17 grand on some pixels is more than happy to like sit through this. They don't really care for super high tier skins like this. The good thing is it gives you much more time to exit. I think like the rest of the market, this thing is going to come back down in price significantly. Now, with super high tier skins like this, like I said, a lot of people just like to hold these for a very long time. It's very possible they don't come back down to these $12,000 levels. But if they do, possibly even 10 grand, I would be buying something like this. That's the level where you want to buy at, where we've seen them go sideways for very long periods of time, because it's just one skin you got to buy and one skin you got to sell when the hype comes back. They're very high risk right now. I would absolutely not be touching them at 16 grand. The market still has a lot of room to drop, but these are kind of the more bleed out skins. As the people who are like bought these a year ago and they're like, oh, it's up 6 grand, maybe I could sell it. That typically tends to happen over a longer period of time. This chart doesn't go back as far as it should, but you could see over like 2 months here, this thing just bled out a couple grand. I think with the high tier skins, obviously we've been through the worst of it already, but this could very well just bleed out like this and then end up back here. I think that's what's going to happen with the majority of super high tier skins like this. Now, of course, we do have one bit of an exception to the rest of the market, which is the gloves, specifically the gloves in the glove case. These are completely independent than all the other things that I talked about for one simple reason. Sure, you can't get any of these anymore. You could trade up to them, and that's the only way you could get any of those, except for the Howl, which obviously you can't get at all anymore. But with the gloves, they're in the glove case. These specific gloves are the Hedge Mazes. And let me show you guys if Steam wants to stop bugging. A lot of the time when it comes to crashes like this, and I've covered this in other videos as well, things go up in price massively, and then they come back down, but they don't come back down to the exact levels they were at previously. They are typically always in an uptrend until something gets to be as expensive as like the Bravo case at $50, where you just don't see people really unboxing it anymore because there just can't be that much demand at this price. Now, for me, I could definitely see the glove case coming back to like anywhere between 10 and 12 bucks. If you're a holder or somebody that's got any of the pairs of gloves in it, you would like to see it come back to 12 bucks and consolidate and then continue to run up in the future. Do I think this thing is going to run up in the future? Yeah, it probably is. It's still got a bit of room to drop, and so the gloves definitely. But like the glove case, I don't think these gloves are necessarily going to come back down to this like $3,700 price for sports glove Hedge Mazes. I don't know why I started to say that, but you get the point. Cases are always going to be increasing in price for these. They're super limited. The gloves are some of the best in the game. They actually are the best in the game in this case. So it's a big catalyst for why these gloves are so expensive and why the case is going to get more expensive. If people continue unboxing the case at like the $10 levels, these gloves are still going to stay super expensive. If I was looking, I don't know. If I was looking to buy, I would say like 4,400 would be great. Of course, you could look at this at any chart in any of the glove case gloves. All of them have very similar charts to this. I guess it maybe can drop 50% in price still. It'd be absolutely crazy. Just another one of those items that could very well have a slow bleed out over time. With cases that kind of happened previously, some of them were extremely quick moves when the CS2 hype ended. Some of them were very long bleed outs. So with your higher risk, more volatile items, sure, they might not come all the way back down to the levels they were at previously. This is the Phase 2 Ceramic Doppler, of course. Might not come back to 2 grand. I mean, normal Phase 3s are worth 2 grand at this point, and the Phase 2s have way more demand at this point. So we'll see what happens there. This is something I'd heavily keep my eye on if I was an investor as well. If these things get back to the $2,000 level, I will be buying. I have $3,700 in cash ready to deploy if things like this do get back down to extremely low levels. I think the Phase 2 hype is going to continue. Hype doesn't usually magically disappear in the CS market. If Phase 2s have some hype spike, if gloves have some hype spike, typically they come back at relatively the same level. It's not like we're going to see another hype spike and Dragon Lores suddenly triple in price instead of Phase 2s or instead of gloves. I think it's going to be the same case next time around unless we get new gloves released. But we just got new Phase 2s released, and that just seemed to add to more of the hype. So I'm very excited for Phase 2s if they get back down to these levels. Me personally, and I don't own any of these now, by the way, I should come out and say that. I will only be buying these if they get back to pre-hype levels. And I think they will have the best returns if they get back to pre-hype levels because there's so much demand for them, and obviously they look great in CS2. But this is one of those more high-risk, volatile items. Despite this very sideways period in time, actually 2 times over, I still think when the market blows up, these are some of the most demanded items. The high tiers are not. Even the cases are not, because a lot of them have gotten so expensive at this point. Cases are more low risk because you hold them for years upon years, kind of ignore the price action, and just sell when they go up immensely. Phase 2s and other ruby knives, for example, which have had very, very similar trends as well, which I'll show you guys, are more high risk because the moves are much quicker, and you definitely don't want to miss them. Like, this is the Karambit Ruby as well, which really had a lot of step-ups in price. You see a lot of weird price action with much more limited items in the game. This is some very wonky price action with the Karambit Ruby, and I low-key don't even want to touch it after looking at this because I haven't looked at this previously. But personally, I'm going to be sticking with the Phase 2s because I think they could drop back drastically in price, and it's very rare you see something 4x in price in the market as quickly as the Phase 2 did last time around. So I think drop from this price, and hopefully they slowly begin to climb back up, as that demand hasn't really disappeared. People still like the knives, but just everybody had to sell and take profits at some point. So I'm going to sit around and wait for that, but I'm going to wait for the market to finish crashing first. So thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to check out the sponsor with that link at the top of the description, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.